Nowadays, when we read the news, there is a lot of coverage on startups and how they disrupt industries and change the way of doing things. When we think of startups, we think of funding. We feel that, of course, they can disrupt industries because they have a lot of funding. But here's the thing, for the rest of us SMEs running normal businesses, we may not have funding, but we don't always need fundings anyway. There are a lot of cases whereby a startup can disrupt an industry without a lot of funding. What we should embrace instead is the startup methodology and mindset in growing a business with or without funding. Let me give you an example. SpaceX was started by Elon Musk in 2002 after he exited PayPal. Elon Musk didn't raise money for SpaceX at the start. He used his own money. He wanted to go into space travel industry to revive the industry in US because apparently NASA hasn't launched a rocket to space for the past 50 years or so. Each time Americans want to go to space, they have to pay Russians for a seat on their rocket. It is like paying for a train ticket, except the ticket is super expensive and they have to pay like tens of millions for a seat on the Russian rocket. But it's even more expensive to launch your own rocket. It can go up to billions. NASA couldn't get funding to launch rockets for themselves. Ever since they managed to land on the moon many decades ago, they couldn't get the funding to launch rockets anymore. It cost about 20 billions to go to the moon. Basically, after getting to the moon, there's no big milestone left to check off, so they cannot justify the funding on the rocket program. That's why they stopped launching rockets in US. But Elon Musk has this crazy dream, not only to launch rockets in US again, but to eventually go to Mars. So he started a company, SpaceX. They built a rocket from scratch for about 1 year and launched their first rocket. It exploded in mid-air. Second rocket failed again. Third rocket also failed. It was the fourth year of the company and they had nothing to show for. The engineers and scientists were prepared to pack their bag and go home already because they estimate that Elon Musk has run out of money. $100 million cannot really go that far in the industry. They were very sad that the company is going to close down. That day, Elon Musk gathered everyone and they thought that it's over. But Elon Musk said, "We are going to launch the fourth rocket," and they were excited again. They sat down, analyzed all their failures, what was missing and what was not working, and they built the fourth rocket in about 1 year. Lo and behold, the fourth rocket went to space and the launch was successful. The rest is history. SpaceX continued to launch rockets and tried new things. They even invented the reusable rockets, which means their rockets can land on the ground just like an airplane. Typically, rockets can only be used one time, it goes to space and that's it. But his rockets are reusable. Because of that, they managed to cut down the cost of rocket by about 100 times. A rocket is $1.6 billion on average, whereas SpaceX rocket can be made with tens of millions of dollars only. The thing is, Elon Musk is not even a rocket scientist, but he has done something that even NASA couldn't do. Here's the main difference. Elon Musk came from Silicon Valley and he was the co-founder of PayPal. He brought the whole startup methodology over to space travel industry, which was unprecedented. You see, when NASA built rockets, they have everything down to details. They will try to get everything right. They aim to build the perfect rocket. They also do not experiment with new materials. On the other hand, when SpaceX built their rocket, it's more of an MVP, what we call a minimal viable product, a common term in the startup world. Basically, their rocket is not perfect, but they launch it anyway. When it explodes, they examine their failure and iterate from there. It's about constant iteration. That's why Facebook has this motto, move fast and break things. Literally, SpaceX is breaking rockets in order to have a breakthrough. They keep doing, they keep learning, and they keep improving. That's how they eventually invented the reusable rocket. In my industry, marketing, things are also very similar. You see, in traditional marketing, marketers will try to come up with the perfect commercial. They spend months and months to create the video ad and run it on TV. They think it's perfect and assume that it's perfect, but no one knows if it's perfect. You can't measure the results anyway, and they can't improve on it. However, in modern digital marketing, we don't try to create the perfect ad. It's about constant iteration, which is the startup methodology. We would create an ad and run it on Facebook or YouTube and check out the data. If it doesn't work, we kill off the ad within as fast as 3 days. We analyze what is wrong and we have to go back to the drawing board to create another ad. We keep creating a new ad until it converts. It is constant iteration. In our world, there is no best ad or best headline. We have to keep on testing and improving to find what works. We don't also assume anything because every business is different, every industry is different. We just have to test. Of course, when you do testing, you don't test blindly. Think of it like a scientific experiment. You have to know what you're testing and keep other variables constant. You don't keep testing the same angles, you have to change up the angles. So there is some method behind all the madness in that sense. At the end of the day, the idea of startup is really not about the funding. In fact, too much money is not a good thing. It makes people complacent and extravagant. Having constraints is good. It forces people to be creative and solve a problem with as little resource as possible by thinking out of the box. This is the reason why many startups, including SpaceX, don't raise money at the start. It's only when the business model is proven, then they raise money. Ultimately, the idea of startup is not about the funding, it is the methodology and mindset that we should learn from. It's about constant iteration and having the emotional willpower to keep doing in spite of failures. If you can practice that, we can also disrupt our industries without a lot of money. Thanks for watching this video. Do like, subscribe and press the bell notification so that when new videos are released, you will be notified. I'll catch you soon.